The effect, we've seen the mental health impact of
The 11-hour standoff ending with the hostages escaping and outcome shot dead.
It's like a gross game of
As
hide and
FBI
seek.
agents converged. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security now warning law enforcement nationwide that communities of faith will likely continue to be targets of violence and extremist support.
Well, very few of us are doing okay right now. We'll get
know
through this.
from February to July.
Lindsay, officials in the UK will not comment on this
in other
case
words,
because
the
it is an
time
ongoing investigation. But the White House says they're going to take a hard look at law enforcement nationwide that communities of faith.
My brothers and sisters, as you may very well know, I am the Reverend Point Blank. And I'm going to tell you how it all started, just so you can get an idea of why I am the way I am and why I created this television show called Chuch. It is important for me, since I grew up on the streets, born over in the Cabrini Green area, grew up in K-Town, west side of Chicago, traveled all of the United States and most of the world. I've been to seminary school. I mean, I learned pastor the church. I mean, these are things that when you combine the streets with the so-called church, then you find out what truth is. And not only did I find out what truth was in America, I found out what truth was in several other countries. Because in my travel, growing up in the hood, you know you have to look out for people that's maybe trying to con you or run game on you. And they're saying one thing, but they mean something else. So you have to watch their spirit. And when I traveled, I realized that watching a person's spirit would indicate to you who they are, unless you're not capable of discerning spirits, but they are everywhere. You run into them, you have them inside of you. So understanding that, when I got to Europe, there's a lot of stuff in between. You'll find out more about that later at some point. But my idea was, wow, God is all-knowing. He's all-seeing. He's the first, last, beginning and end, Alpha and Omega. So they say, and yet people do things that they know are wrong. And at the same time, they go into the building or around people and they lie and deceive. Now, this does not, it's not directed towards just people. It's directed towards people, but I have to blame those who, the parents, the pastors, particularly the pastors, where people go and they assume that that's where they would go to get worship and to praise God and to be blessed and to serve and to be served. That's what I would think it would be. But they've turned it into a real circus. And I mean like a real circus. So if I were going to take the Bible and try to break it down in the simplest terms, God Almighty, He all-knowing, He, as you know, the first, last, beginning, the end, whatever you call Him, or whatever name you use. Why did He do the things He did in the first place? Why did He make this angel? How did, when Adam was born, Eve was taken from the rib, and they had sex, and they had Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel. There was only one woman left. That was Eve. So, who did He have sex with? So, and then you could go back and say, well, why, God, you put them trees in the garden? I mean, so when I think of all these things, I think about Jesus, Allah, and there's many of them, Buddha and Catholicism. And when I think about Jesus particularly, talk about America, talk about mostly what I grew up with, Jesus, when I read about Him, He had a pair of sandals on. Well, why you gotta have Stacey Adams shoes or alligator shoes? Jesus had a robe, but you got a tailor-made suit. Preacher, Jesus had a donkey, but you got a jet plane and a Rolls Royce. And Jesus didn't have nowhere to stay, but you got a mansion, and your members ain't got They can't hardly pay their rent. Now, to me, that's a bunch of bullshit. Pardon my language, and I don't really give a damn, but I'm trying to be nice this time because I need to explain to you why we created this show. This show is television. That's what the pastors are doing to you. They're telling you their vision for their lives. Can you imagine what has happened to them during this COVID thing? They have lost so much money, it's ridiculous. A lot of them have went out of business. Some of them are holding on to a string because without you, they are nothing. And that's not how it's supposed to go. Jesus said, I am nothing already. And he became everything because he served. The only way you can pastor is to serve. The only way you can be a leader is to follow. And they want you to follow them, and they don't even teach you the truth about the Bible. So all of that came to be because, I didn't like the people in the church. I didn't like the pastors. The 15,000 churches in Chicago. You have churches on every corner almost, across the street from each other. And their Bible clearly says there's one church, one God. So many of the things that they say in the Bible just don't make a bit of damn sense. And so I can conclude that they are basically full of shit and con men. The Bible says many are called, but few are chosen. Some people say some people were sent and some people just went. Okay, well, however you say it, a lot of them are really full of shit and they con men. And what bothers me the most is they're using God's name and your pain for their motherfucking gain. I'm not happy about that. I don't give a damn what they do. I'm not responsible for what people do to me, but I am responsible for how I deal with the shit people do to me. That's the totality of my responsibility. You see, so I created Chuch because it's a TV show. So people get caught up in television. So I tell you my vision while I program your ass, and that's basically what's happening. So when they see something on TV, the church people, they watch the horror movies, they watch the gangster movies, they watch the drug movies, they watch the sex movies. But then they go to church, when you talk about it, they don't want to talk about it. Who don't want to talk about sex? What's the damn problem? You fucking, the church wouldn't have no damn people if somebody in there wasn't fucking. And how you gonna have a church if ain't nobody fucking? So the point I'm trying to make is this. You got to teach your kids everything. You don't have to speak to them like I do. But you have to teach them. You can't allow them to find out on their own like you did. And that's wrong. And some of you still don't know. I'm going to give you the simplest way, and then I'm going to go on and explain to you about the show. But I'm going to give you the simplest way to do God's will in your life, whoever you call God. And this is number one. Get to know who you are. Get to know your gifts. Get to know your purpose. Get to know why you on the planet. Because if you don't know that, you fuck coming out the gate. The reason you come out the gate is so that you can learn as a child. When I was a child, I put away childish things. And when I became adult, I became adult. It don't quote it exactly like that, but you know what I'm saying. When I was a child, I thought like a child. When I was an adult, I put away my childish things. I mean, if you want me to go to it, I can do that. But the point is, I don't need to go to it because you know it. You knew it when you read it. But you heard the pastor say this, and you take the scripture out of the Bible, and you tailor it to fit whatever bullshit you on, whatever sin you doing, whatever deception you got going on. And you know why you got these deceptions? And you don't even know this, because God said the foolishness of God will confound the wise. And your dumb ass can't see it. Now, I ain't talking to all y'all, but pretty much most of y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, if it wasn't for the fruits, vegetables, minerals, vitamins, and oxygen, you wouldn't be alive. Let's leave God out of it for a minute, even though you can't, because all those things in our minds were created by him. Okay, it doesn't matter. But the fruits, vegetables, minerals, vitamins, and oxygen is what keeps you alive. I'm going to show you the foundational principles why God say the foolishness of God will confound the wise. Because those principles are the things that keep you alive. And when you die, and death is guaranteed, this minute we're talking is not. Life is not. So when you die, over thousands of years, you will be fruits, vegetables, minerals, vitamins, and oxygen for somebody else's ass to eat. And that's the cycle of that part of life. We're not talking about the spiritual and mental. That's just the physical aspect of it. If those three are not connected, you fucked anyway. So I'm saying, when you die, you go back into the ground. So understand this. I cannot take an apple seed and put it in the ground where the ground is good and the weather's right and expect oranges or pineapples or corn or okra or peas. It's not going to happen. And many of you plant seeds and you expect something good. See, I'm saying to you that when you plant good seeds on good ground, you get a tree of it. This is how simple it is. You get a tree of fruit from that one seed. And then you hit hundreds of fruit, maybe thousands. And these happens every year. And each one of those fruit have hundreds of tens of seeds in them. God couldn't make it so simple that your stupid eyes can't see. You go out, you breathe the air. You go out, you see, your body is, God has made you a perfect human being and you've taken it and fucked over it because of those 5 things. It look good, smell good, taste good, sound good, and feel good. And when you chase those things, if you get lucky enough to live to 60, 70, maybe 80, your dick won't get hard, you can't run, you can't jump, and you're thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? What did I do with my life but chase shit? That shit gonna always be here. In fact, 100,000 years ago, that shit was here. What do you think, they went to outer space to get it? We created it. God made us as an image. We are creators. That's why we are able to make all the computers and the helicopters and all the technology and everything you see today. That's how it evolved, because people did it and they were created in God's image, and we are all children of God. And so you got a dog at home, a white dog, a white company got a black dog, a white family got a black dog, and they don't treat the black dog. They don't hang the black dog. They don't treat the black dog. They don't make the black dog sleep. They make the black dog sleep in the bed. But you treat a black man like he's a dog. You treat a dog like he's human. You treat Hispanic people like they dogs. You treat the Asian people like they dogs. You know who you are. I don't know who you are, but you do. So we created church to put that shit to rest. Now I'm going to tell you, I'm starting with the gospel church because that's what I grew up in. But in our church, we have apostolic, Pentecostal, we have Muslim, we have Chinese, we have Buddhism. We have every aspect and every culture of people, because that's church. That's the truth. And these people come in the door who they are. Because over the door it says, come as you are. And I've got these people that I do write for. Now, I only write for 9 different people. The rest of them, and I'm casting for those 9. I have a few of them already full because those names I created based on those people. The other names were created on other people that are not available to do the parts. But we are trying to minister the truth. So I'm going to start out. I'm the Reverend Point Blank. You may have met Deacon Lion Ass. I have Sister Ho. She handled my money. I had to change Deacon Tammarine's number. It's Deacon Tamarine, but he was called Deacon Sucker Stick. I had to change that. You all know what that is. He run the choir. He can blow. He can sing his ass off. I don't hold that against him. I don't do that. And that's what people need to realize. You can't hold what people do against them. If their heart is right, if they're good people, let them be who they are. You're trying to change somebody and you don't even know your damn self. So let's get busy. So I got Sister Hell No, Deacon Liquor Click. I got 2 brothers at the front door. Deacon, I wish a nigga would, and Deacon Nigga Please. Now they standing at the door with their 9mm. Check this out. The door says, come as you are. When you come to that door, there's a mirror behind you that you don't see. So if you a hoe, the Gucci you wearing don't matter. Deacon, I wish a nigga would. Deacon, nigga, please see that. They pull their pistol and say, bitch, do you want to be saved? You're not getting in here with that bullshit. I don't allow it. If you're a player, if you're a hooker, if you're a motherfucking crooked politician, if you're one of them good women in church, I don't care. Come as you are. And that's what we film. That's what we film outside of the 9 characters. Because anybody that's bold enough to come up and say, I was a gangster, I was a pimp, you know, I was a hoe, I did this, or I went to this church and I ain't like what they was doing, then you bold enough to tell the truth. And we are patient enough and we are servant enough to help you find it, because none of us live that bullshit. Because we stress and we strive for peace and joy. You can't get peace and joy unless you are taken care of. You can't be taken care of unless you take care of people. Unless you plant a seed. And you can't know what kind of seeds you have until you spend some time with yourself. In fact, you can't know God talking to you until you know who you are. Why are these churches, have you never asked your question, why do they have so many churches? Why do they have people to deceive? Why do you know you see people, you yourselves, who are one thing, one place, and something somewhere else, even if they don't go to church? They're different around their girlfriends. They're different around their job. Different around their business people. They're different around their friends. I mean, how many faces do you have? Well, if you know how many faces you have, then you need to spend some time with them faces so you can put those faces in some kind of order, like Star Trek. Those of you who don't know Star Trek, Captain Kirk was the captain. He had Worf, who was kicking niggas' ass. He had, what's his name, Spock, this intelligent brother. He had Sulu, who drove the ship. You understand? He had the black lady. They all had their part. And many of you have a spirit of different varieties. Sexual spirits, business spirits, funny spirits, hateful spirits, demon spirits. You know you have them. And if you don't take an inventory of yourself, you'll never address them to put them in some kind of order for some kind of direction and purpose for your life. Because otherwise, you're going to be scattered all over the place. And that's why we created church. So we're going to be casting for it. I have some pieces. I've introduced several people already. Deacon Make a Move, Sister Love Child. And these are people who do what they do. People who have a desire. Sister Love Child, she has a desire to work with kids. She's good at it. She deals in a daycare. So we help her and we promote her. We advertise her. We bring the kids to the church. They come to church. We send them to children's church. That's what she runs. Do you understand? Deacon Tambourine, he runs the choir. He can sing like nobody I know. And he can direct the choir. So why would I hold his sexual preference against him? That's his business. He got to deal with his own demons on that. Do you understand? But I have to love him. You understand? I have to love everybody. I don't have to like anybody. But you have to understand you can't do anything like or love with anybody until you know who you are so you can love yourself. And the only way to do that is to find out why God made you. Find out why you're so good at some things and not good at others. Take an inventory. Get a pen and paper. Write down your bad habits, your good habits. Write down the things you don't like and the things you do like. You spend 24 hours in the day and you don't even spend 1 hour with yourself. Don't you feel foolish? I would if I were you. You run around serving everybody else. The job, the friends, the hangouts, the little pleasure things. But you don't spend no time with yourself. Even if you go to school, you gotta study just to get that degree. Don't you think you need a degree on your own for yourself so you can know you in order to get a degree for anything else? Or to have a relationship with anybody else? Or to have anything with anybody bringing into your life? If you don't know you, what are you going to do with them? Hold on, that's a question to ask. What the hell are you going to do with somebody else when you don't even know who you are? And that's what church is about, helping people find themselves. And the mirror going to tell us right away so we know how to deal with you. And this is not just a TV show. This is real TV. Those people who come to the church, they do what they do. But those who come to the church, we make sure they do what they do. Because everybody in there know who they are. We know how to deal with them. We know how to bring them from one place to the next. I was talking to a young man today, well, he was an older man, pretty ignorant if you ask me. He has a young boy. I'm not going to use his name. But his young boy is a little criminal. He perceives himself to be this nice little kind boy. He gets good grades, but he is a criminal. And I had a talk with him, and I took a young brother with me, Deacon Make a Move with me. He's 21 years old. And this man must be 40, 45, 50, 55, I don't know. He looks like he could be 60. Anyway, he says he's retired, so I imagine he's 60, 65. So he says, I bring him across the street. He's telling me before I get across the street about his son. I'm trying to explain to him his son is a crook. And he's telling me he needs therapy and all these things and all these things. He's saying this is what he needs. This is what he needs. So I said, hold up a minute, brother. Let me bring you across the street. I want you to meet somebody. Deacon Make a Move got out the car. I said, Deacon Make a Move, talk to this brother. He went to talk. I said, no, man. Just listen to him. He asked him a question. Do you know your nephew? He says, yeah. Well, do you know that he's a crook? Do you know that he's a hood rat? Do you know that he steals? Do you know that he's promiscuous? He said, oh, well, no, do you talk to him about what he does like? You've told him that you want to make a statement that he needs a psychiatrist. You want to make a statement that he needs a doctor or he needs coaching. But how can you coach someone if you don't know where they are? You have to go over to where they are, grab them by the hand, understand where they are, and walk them back. There is no other way. You cannot yell from across the bridge, hey, come over here. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's going to see your fancy car. Nobody's going to see all your money, because that doesn't matter. They're looking at it from their perspective, so you can't reach them. What you have to do is go over to them and understand where they are. If you've never been in their shoes, you really can't help them. So my brother was talking to him because he's been in an orphan. He's been in orphan homes. He's been, in the system. They tried to put him in insane asylums. But he made it through. When I met him, he was just about to break through. And it just so happened, the way we met, they called it luck, but it was a preparation meets opportunity. And he's been a dynamic brother. I would give him anything. I've adopted him as my own son because he knows the truth. He knows what mistakes are. And he knows what he wants, which is more important. So that's the better way for him to see what a mistake is if he knows exactly what he wants. And most of you know nothing about what you want. You want a big car. You want a big dick. You want some good pussy. Or you want, a nice job. You want a big old house. You want $1 billion. I don't know what the hell it is, but that shit is going to pass away. You know why it's going to pass away? Because your ass going to pass away. What the money going to help you then? How's it going to help you? What you going to chase for after you get all the things you scratch for and you're this age? What are you going to do then? What? Listen, man, let me tell you, Steve. I don't know many of the greats that I was taught, that I read about. Sarah Breedlove, she was one of the first. She was the first African-American millionaire female to deal with hair products for black women. I could talk about so many others that if I mention their name, you wouldn't know. And the reason you don't know, and the reason we have the chaos that we have in our schools and in our communities, in our neighborhoods as black people, is because we were never taught who we are. We were never taught where we came from. We were never taught the power and the authority with which we possess. We were always taught that Jesus was white. We were always taught that everything good, Snow White. Everything good was white, and everything bad, Black Monday, Black Ball, the Black Cat. All these things that were driven into your mind, Santa Claus, Easter. I mean, what kind of, that's all about the money, as we say. Ain't a damn thing funny, because you got to have a con in this land of milk and honey. And if you don't see that, you really stupid or ignorant as a motherfucker. I'm saying to you that you need to concentrate on you. You can't help nobody else until you find out who you are, what your gifts are, what seeds that you have to plant, on what grounds that are good for growing your seeds. So you're going to have to be a good farmer to look at the heart of someone. That's the ground, to determine whether that ground, because you can't grow tropical fruit in Chicago. It's not going to happen. The ground may be right, but the weather's not going to work. You have to know the ground and the season of the mentality. That's the weather of the individual. Because people don't understand. We are triune gods. Spiritual, physical, and mental. Your spiritual controls your mental. Your mental controls your physical. Now, if you all out of whack spiritually, you all out of whack all the way around. And once those things get separated, you're going to start chasing those five senses. It look good, smell good, taste good, sound good, and feel good, and you don't have the sixth sense. And you know what that is? No, you don't. Common sense what to do with the five you got. Because if you don't know you don't know what to do with the five senses you got. You're going to always chase them, and you're going to forever, ever, ever be chasing them until you die. And you will die. So the bottom line is, church is not, we don't charge money to come there. We do ask for an offering. And you know what the offering we ask for? We ask you to give 10%. We don't ask you to give it to us. We ask you to give 10% to yourself. Because I'll be damned if you can't give yourself 10% out of the 100% and live off of 90% of the money you get. Put it in a bank account. Make it your children. You know you don't eat your damn kids. Now, if you like diamonds, you don't send your diamonds to a farmer. You teach your kids how to fuck and have children. You eat the grandkids, the grandparents. Those are the ones that's going to take care of you, the grandparents. Do you understand? We're looking at this in dollars and money. I'm saying it in a way that you might understand because you've been told this before. And 10% is going to take away a joint or two, couple of bills, couple of night outs. So if you make $1,000, take out $100. If you make $1, take out $1. If you make a dime, take out a penny. If you don't discipline yourself to do that, first of all, if you don't discipline yourself to spend an hour a day with yourself, you're not going to be able to do none of this because you're not going to have discipline to do any of it. First thing you have to start with discipline. That discipline has to start with you saying, okay, I'm going to spend an hour a day with myself trying to figure out who the hell I am, where the hell I'm going, and why the hell I'm on this planet. Because if you don't know that, what you doing in my face? What the hell do you want from me? What you really want from a nigga? And this is the problem with 90% of the people I know on the planet. Those of you listening to me now, you know who the hell you are. Don't be mad at me. I don't know you. But I know the spirits that I run into. In every language, I know the spirit. I don't have to speak your language to see the evil or the good or the pure heart or the deception in you. It doesn't take long for me. I don't have to know what you're saying. Most people saying something different anyway because they lying, they deceiving. What do you expect to come back from deception? Those are seeds. Remember, your words and your deeds are your seeds. So you spitting out deception. You planting them on grounds. You're going to spit out one seed that's going to grow a whole tree of deceptive motherfucking fruit for your ass with thousands of the same deceptive ass motherfucking seeds. And you're going to be wondering, why the hell am I in jail? Why the hell am I divorced? Why my kids don't like me? Why I don't have no friends? You wonder because that's the shit you planted. Remember, I'm not responsible for what people do to me. The totality of my responsibility is how I respond.
It ain't over, motherfuckers.